today's a good day to have a couple blocks if you have them. If you don't have yoga blocks, you could also have a chair handy or a wall handy. That will help too. So our theme this week is plugging into your own power and then using that power to move forward. So the idea being, I read an article this week on muscle density, and this was new information for me, but muscle density has a direct correlation with immunity. So the more dense and fibrous and strong our muscles are, the more they protect our immune system, which I thought was pretty interesting. And that the density of our muscles is also supportive of the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that starts in the cranium and has a lot of positive effect on the body. So our theme this week is to create a little more muscle density. So we're going to be working to get, and it's especially in the legs, which is even more interesting, is that the density of the legs is really, really key, and the thighs is really, really key for immunity and strong vagus nerve. So anyways, I thought that was great, and we're going to tailor our practice to support that. So go ahead and find your sitting bones on your lift, whether that's blocks, a dictionary, or a folded blanket or a pillow. And just take a moment to deepen your breath and start to transition and slow down from wherever we came from to this moment. We feel into the body, mind. We let that breath help us transition to bring us into more of a internal view of ourselves. And we take this moment to acknowledge what we bring to the mat today, be it frustration or joy or anger or whatever it is, sadness, hope. You just bring that, you acknowledge it, and just so you remember that those emotions and feelings can color the way we react and respond to life and even to our practice. Take another big deep breath, and then we're going to start our pranayama today. Our pranayama practice is a breath practice called Kapalabhati. And the reason I love this practice is it's just super great for the lungs, it's super great for detox, and it's super great for abdominal support and strength. So Kapalabhati means skull shining breath. That means with the forceful exhalation of the belly so that the diaphragm pumps the air out. So it's like a forceful exhale like this, where you press the diaphragm back forcefully. That causes this energetic reaction to come up the body. And we also know that the exhale is a great way to release toxins. So the way it goes is we do 20 Kalabhatis in a row, which can be a little bit challenging if you're not used to it, but it's good for you. So we just start and you do as many as you can. Sometimes it'll make you cough. It'll stimulate the lungs to release air. And so if you do, that's okay. You're on mute. You just do what you can, and then you join us again. So we do 20 Kapalabhatis, and then we pause with a big inhale, and we hold the breath for about 20 seconds or 20 counts. And then we do an ujjayi, that means an inhale and an exhale, and then we do 30 Kapalabhatis in a row, and then we hold the breath, we inhale and hold the breath for 30, and then we do another round of ujjayi, standard breath, and then we do 40, and we hold the breath for 40. And I highly recommend this practice to do it regularly in your life. It'll keep your lungs strong and vibrant, and your energy as well. So I'll lead us, and you just join us, and you learn as you go. So eyes are closed, and they're focused on the third eye point, and you just exhale completely. Let the breath go. And on your next inhale, deep inhale, and complete exhale. And here's where we begin. We take a big deep breath in again, and then we do our 20 forceful exhalations. So inhale, begin. And it's about 1 a second. Exhale completely. Inhale deeply, hold the breath for approximately 20 counts. Try not to let the breath holding be too hard or strong. Keep it soft. Keep the eyes at the third eye point. Exhale with control, nice and slowly. One round of breath, inhale and exhale. Exhale completely. Inhale to begin 30. Here we go. Inhale deeply, hold the breath, 30 counts. Exhale with control. One round of Ujjayi. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Here's our last one for 40 counts. Inhale deeply. Inhale deeply. Hold for 40, keeping soft. Exhale with control. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Let your hands drape down by your sides. Blink open your eyes and inhale. Sweep your arms up overhead. Urdhva Hastasana is the name of this pose. And I love this pose just as a way to feel side body long. So what I mean by that is I want the hips to feel heavy. And I want there to be a gentle hugging in of the legs, so you start to feel a little support around the base of the spine. The front ribs drop in, and then we shrug the shoulders to find the length in the side body. And we'll be here for a couple more breaths, keeping those same actions. So from the feet and legs, we hug around the low spine. We drop in the front ribs and the chin, and we shrug and find length in the body. And you might notice if you get really quiet and your eyes close that the Kapalabhati, that breath we just did, skull shining breath, you may notice a little more light and energy up into your brain. So from here, we're just going to start to circle our wrists around. Remember, this acts like an inversion, so it allows for lymphatic drainage, and go the other way in your wrist just so we warm them up. Beautiful. And then take a really big, like almost behind you, sweep down. You just work and open those shoulders. You're going to bring your hands behind you on the mat so that your fingertips are pointing towards your booty. And then you're gonna step onto your feet. So your knees are bent, and now you're gonna grab the floor with your hands a little bit like you're squeezing a grapefruit. You wanna feel all sides of your hands, even the thumb side. With that squeezing action, you lift your hips up towards the sky. Little bit of warm up. This is super good for the shoulders and wakes up the power of the legs. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, bring it up. You're squeezing and pressing the arms so that you start to feel a little tricep action, and then exhale, bring it down. Inhale, exhale for the effort. Inhale there, and exhale, efforting slowly back down. We have one more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, come on back to sitting. You're going to bring your legs into a cross-legged seat again, but try to go the opposite one that you're used to. And take your right hand and place it on your left knee. So you're already in a twist, but instead of just forcing that twist with your arms, I want you to use the legs to hug around the low spine as if you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste from the bottom. And so that you feel that lengthening of the spine here. And let that be your twist for a moment. And then as you squeeze around those waistlines, can you also bring a little energy into your ribs as if you were exhaling and squeezing around that part of the spine? When you inhale, though, you want to inflate those ribs, all four sides, front, left, back, and right. And then as you exhale, there's a little squeezing. And with each exhale, there's a little bit more length and a little bit more twist. So see if you can feel how that twist happens naturally by that squeezing action, always with the exhale. The inhale should be an inflation. One more. Exhale. There's a squeezing of the low spine and the ribs. Maybe you just notice you got a little bit of an extra twist without much effort. Inhale gently to come out of the pose, and just shrug your shoulders and take a cleansing breath, a couple of them. Just really roll those shoulders around. Okay, we're going to go second side. So left hand reaches towards right knee. The other hand can be behind you like a little kickstand. And now you're just going into like a quarter or a half twist, half of what you're usually able to do. And from the power of your legs, you draw the waistline in. So you're hugging the base of the spine. And just notice as you do this, is there one side that hugs more readily than the other? Can you get that sensitive where you notice that? And then begin to draw your awareness up the spine, even to your ribs. So as you move into a twist, you want those two actions, the low spine and the ribs, to squeeze on the exhale. And then the inhale is all about length and expansion. So the ribs inflate like bellows. And you just stay here for a couple moments working those squeezing actions. So you not only engage the action around the midline to lengthen you, you notice that a twist really takes very little twisting effort if you're hugging and lengthening. It just kind of naturally happens. One more breath. And gently release. Good. You're going to take your legs out in front of you just to give them a break. You're going to take your hands pointing back again, and you'll just lean forward gently for a first little minor hamstring stretch, but also to get the hands stretched too. So here we go. We soften the elbows and we peel back through the wrists until you just got the tippy fingers on the floor, and then you start to lean forward again. So we're not bouncing, we're just doing a gentle stretching and then pulling back. And you're letting the hands be super active so that they are like that grapefruit squeezing kind of action, but you're coming back to your fingertips. And you're just gently warming up the length of the spine. And then you're finding that steady breath. One more. Beautiful. Go ahead and cross your legs at the ankles. Pull that block out from underneath you, but have them near to the front of the mat and come into tabletop. And in tabletop, you're going to take that right leg back straight behind you with the toes tucked under. And I want you to use those toes for power. So push into those toes until you feel the power growing up the leg. So you want you to hug the muscles onto the bones till you feel even the quadricep strengthening and creating density. And then you just rock with those toes. You push forward maybe an inch, and then you step forward with that flexed foot, and you do that again. So I want you to feel like you're plugging that leg deeply into its socket. Beautiful. One more breath anyways. And then from here, lift that right leg up, bring your abdominals and your ribs into the core, and then take your left arm forward for a little bird dog. And with that left arm, same thing, just like with your legs. You want to pull that arm back into its socket, feel the abdominals lifting away from the floor, and then from there, imagine you could stretch through your torso. Beautiful. Release that down. Sit on back onto your tucked toes and sweep your arms up overhead. Interlace fingers. Take palms to the sky. Take another breath here to integrate ribs. Inhale, side bodies long. There's that shrug. And as you exhale, you sweep the arms around behind you, and we move forward for second side. So tabletop position. Extend left leg behind you, and you just feel those tucked toes. And you push gently, and you begin to hug muscles to the bones. And then with those toes, press forward, maybe just a little inch. Walk that left leg forward, and do it again. So you're pulling muscle density onto that leg, and you're actually trying to plug it into its socket. One more breath here. Bring the abdominals away from the floor. And then inhale, lift that leg. And exhale, take your right arm up. And same thing, it plugs in. The abdominals lift up. Bird dog. And we point towards what's important in our life. Power. Shared power though, right? Right now we're talking a lot about power in our culture. And we want to make sure that we're sharing that power. Go ahead and release. Sit on back, tuck your toes. It's actually not a laughing matter. I don't mean to make it too light. Inhale. Sweep the arms up, interlace goofy fingers, take palms to the sky, tuck in ribs and chin, and take a moment to side body long, to shrug those shoulders up to the sky. Exhale, big sweep around. Beautiful. Come forward again. This time you're going to take your left knee forward. And we'll do this a couple times because there's a little bit of, what is she doing kind of thing going on with this pose. But with that left knee in the very center of the mat, it looks like a triangle with your hands and your knees. You stretch that right leg back. But this time you anchor the right foot. So it's square to the back of the mat. So you're standing on that right foot. You're going to turn your left hand out, and you're going to sweep your right arm to the sky. And now I want you to do that same plugging action, as if you could plug the leg and the arm into the socket and correct for abdominals. So bringing abdominals in, and then see if you can press up so much that you almost can lift the bottom knee off the floor. And then place it down. If it doesn't come up, that's okay, so be it. You're just working for muscle density in those arms. Switch legs. So the right leg comes through, so it looks like a triangle. Left leg goes back. Anchor the back foot so you're standing on it and it's square to the back of the mat. Turn your right arm out. Open your left arm to the sky. Correct your abdominals, so bring front ribs and low belly in and up. Feel the standing on that strong leg, and see if you can weight bear with that right hand enough that you can pick up the bottom foot. Beautiful. Release it back down. Take your big toes touching together, your knees wide apart, and sit on back. Child's pose. We'll be here just for a breath. So big deep breath into the back of the ribs, and then come back onto hands and knees. This time you're going to tuck your toes under again, but you're going to bring your knees together for rabbit. So you sit on back like you're doing a child's pose, but parallel legs, toes tucked. You're going to reach back and try to grab your feet. The forehead touches to the floor. Okay, you're going to inhale here, As you exhale, think cat tilt. Pull your abdominals into the body. Try to round and try to accelerate your feet as you press and curl your spine into a big arch. And you're trying to get that stretch through the back ribs and the upper shoulders. One more breath. Accelerate those feet and arms. Accelerate your abdominals. And release. Beautiful. Bring your hands into tabletop. Take a cleansing breath. That's a lot of effort. And then inhale, look up for a cow tilt. Exhale, press down for a cat tilt. Inhale, look up for a cow tilt. And exhale, press back for a cat tilt. Here we go, cow tilt to dog. So as you exhale, you press back, you feel downward facing dog. And here you have my full permission to play with your dog. So you can move your heels around, you can squeeze your waistline, you can swing your hips. The one thing that wants to stay fairly stable is your hands and your arms. So if you take a peek at them occasionally, you want that grapefruit-like squeezing action, and you want the arms fairly stable. All right, come back to center for your dog, and then walk your hands back to meet your feet. And this time you can take your feet as wide as the sticky mat, and you're going to bring your elbows to your knees. I call this weed pulling pose. For a reason, a lot of us are doing gardens this year because we're stuck at home. So in this pose, you want to notice that your tailbone is not tucked under. You want the sitting bones to move back and apart. So just take a moment to swing to the right, where you swing that sitting bone to the right, and then come back through center and swing that sitting bone to the left, that left one. And then go back and forth. So you rock to the right, swing your right sitting bone to the right. Rock to your left, swing your left sitting bone to the left. And you just learn to articulate as you go back and forth, that you have the ability to articulate your sitting bones, and that's really important, especially if you have things like scoliosis or big muscle imbalances. Come back to center. Now can you swing both left and right at the same time? And you'll notice that you have a little lumbar curve here. So bring your belly and your ribs in, and then you're going to take your left hand and you're going to grab that weed in your garden that you don't want anymore. It could be a flower that's bent, and you pull it, and you put that elbow on your knee, and then reach right, and pull it back. We've got one more each side. Pulling, inhale, reaching, exhale, pulling. Beautiful. Stand down to downward facing dog. I hope you felt that in your thighs, truly, because you want your legs strong. Remember that muscle density in your thighs is super good for immunity. Inhale, tippy toes. Exhale, bend the knees. I call this squat dog. And reach those sitting bones again back and apart as you push your spine long and draw in your abdominals. Then from here, you just walk yourself forward all the way to the front of the mat, Uttanasana. Beautiful. And then press with those strong legs up to Ardha Uttanasana, halfway. Exhale, Uttanasana, bowing. Let's do two more of those. So pressing yourself, using the power of your legs to Ardha Uttanasana, and then exhale, releasing long spine to Uttanasana. Last one, press with those strong legs. Exhale, lengthen. Okay, we press with those strong legs up to Ardha Uttanasana. Then we come to Utkatasana. Remember your weed pulling pose. You want those sitting bones swinging back and apart. Bring your hands to your hips. Press through those strong legs to lift your heart, and then keep going till you come all the way to standing. And I know you just felt that in your legs. Exhale, release your hands down. Inhale, fly your arms up overhead, grab your right wrist and bow to the side. We're going to stay here. We're going to soften our right leg, and we're going to step our left leg out to the side. And you're going to go a little bit farther here. Can you correct your abdominals? Can you bring in ribs and belly and find a little more stretch? And then press down with the standing leg and come on up and exhale. Release. Second side. Inhale, fly. Grab your left wrist with your right hand Exhale, bow to the side. Squeeze the waistline you're bowing towards, and then bend the left leg and take the right leg out to the side. And see if you can correct for abdominal strength, and see if you go a little farther. One more breath. Beautiful. Inhale, come back up. You're at the front of the mat, so exhale, your hands down by your sides. Take your feet as wide as the sticky mat. Bring them into gardening pose. As you inhale, you exhale. The sitting bones go back and apart, and you dive forward with those hands overhead. Then you breathe, feeling that stretch in your arms. All right, release your arms and shoulders. Bring your elbows to your knees. Think gardening pose. We're going to start right this time. So inhale, reach right. That doesn't mean the sitting bones come under. Exhale, pull it back. Inhale, reach left. Exhale, pull it back. You still keep them wide back and apart. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Take Utkatasana, hands to the hips. Use the strong legs to lift your heart to come on up. Bring your hands or your feet back together. Exhale, release your hands. Beautiful. Inhale, fly. Exhale, dive. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step your right leg back to a bent knee lunge. So one thing that's really important to do when we strengthen our thighs is that we also want to stretch them. So this might be enough of a stretch for you, and I want to just emphasize that the hips should never hang here. There should be a nice action in your feet, which squeezes around the legs and brings the hips maybe another inch or two up away from the floor. So there's a nice strong action around the low spine. Take another breath there. And then walk your hands onto your front thigh. Press down and forward. That's called bracing. It usually brings the abdominals in. Sweep your right arm up overhead and then bow to the left. And you should get a really nice psoas stretch here. Don't let those hips hang forward. Pull the abdominals in and bring the hips back a little bit. Last breath. And gently release. Nice job. Rock forward and back. Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. We'll stay here for another breath just to really settle in and let your eyes wander to those sitting bones. So when those sitting bones roll inwardly, it usually feels hurtful to our hips because it puts the hip in an external rotation and even brings the head of the femur forward, which is not an optimal place. So we want to press the tops of the thighs back and feel that gentle winging out of the sitting bones. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend knees. Take left leg back, bent knee lunge. And you can be on blocks here if this is too much of a stretch for you. Just promise me not to hang into those hips. It's really hard on you over time. In fact, the legs want to action to the midline. They want to action around that low spine as the ribs do too. And if it feels good to you, you walk up onto that front leg. You're going to press down. It's bracing. And forward. That brings the abdominals in. Then the left arm sweeps overhead and bows to the right. And you correct for abdominal action. So bringing ribs in, low belly in. Last breath here. Beautiful. You're going to release down, hands down to the floor, and step that leg back to meet the other one. And then sit all the way back on your heels and take a cleansing breath. So we're going to repeat. We're going to go back to one of the beginning poses that we did, the version of side plank. So inhale to tabletop. You're going to exhale left leg to the center. So you look like a triangle between knees and hands. You're going to take your right leg back and anchor it square to the back of the mat. And I want you to really feel that foot on the floor as you turn your left hand to 10 o'clock. You're going to inhale and open that right arm to the sky. If you need to adjust so you feel the power of your left leg, see if you can root down and lift that foot off the floor. Now take it out straight in front of you. So it's stretching across the long edge of the mat. And you can stay there, or you can hug it into the midline. It looks like a little, you got punched in the belly, and you lift it off the floor and then release it. I know, that's not easy, but it's a fun one to try. Sit on back, and super good for core strength. So I highly recommend learning that one. If you need to just roll out your wrists now, we won't do too much more on the wrist, but I wanted you to learn this one because it's such great muscle density creating posing. So here we go. You're going to take right leg forward, right knee forward, left leg back, anchoring it. Really feel that back foot on the floor, fully down. Take the right hand out so it looks like 2 o'clock. Open your left arm to the sky. And you can stay here. There's no shame in that. You want to feel the place between your shoulder blades moving forward. And then adjust if you need to feel the strength of your legs. And you go ahead and push down and see if you can lift that foot off. If you can, stretch it forward. So it's along the bisects the long edge of the mat. And then you inhale. As you exhale, you go, ha, and you lift that foot off the floor. Woo, good job. And release that. Place it down. And you're just going to make your way onto your belly. Hooray, hooray. You deserve a little bit of a rest after that. Rest your forehead on your hands and take a cleansing breath. Exhale completely and then tuck your toes. From here, with the toes tucked under and the head resting on your hands, the forehead resting on your hands, you lift up the booty. So my knees stay on the floor, my feet stay on the floor, but I retract and try to lift that butt high into the sky. And at this point, I think about those sitting bones. And I remember that I want the left one to go left and the right one to go right, but I also want that strong, dense action of the legs and butt. And I breathe. And then release. From here, you can keep the toes tucked under. You can walk into Sphinx pose. And the reason, you can do this without toes tucked under, but I particularly like toes tucked under because of my own spinal imbalances. It helps me have a little more muscle density in my legs and a little more articulative, is that a word? Awareness. Like, it makes me aware of my body's ability to draw in energy and to feel really articulate about that, really connected to myself. From here, muscle density, we're going to look down, find the abdominals, exhale to press them up and lift our legs off the floor. Whew. And this will bring some density into the arms as well. So I want you to push the arms down and forward to make them a little